My Hero Academia, Chapter 408 to 409. Chapter 408 to 409 picks up after All For One's wild-ass backstory, going over the fact that All For One's brother was finally able to escape him. The idea was that the brother that All For One was born with was actually quirkless. I mean, All For One took a peek and checked quite a few times, seeing that he has the Quirk Stealer quirk, so if anybody would know if his brother had a quirk, it would be him. The truth, however, was that his brother did have a quirk. The quirk, however, was just so weak that whenever All For One took a peek inside of his brother, it popped up as non-existent, like it wasn't even there. And if you need a quick refresher on All For One's brother, Yoichi, the brother of All For One, is also the first quick holder of One For All. It was at first just a stockpiler quirk until it fused with Kudo, his friend, and then it morphed with his quirk, creating One For All. All For One concluded what more than likely made his brother Yoichi's quirk so weak was the lack of nutrients he received at birth, which is shown in Chapter 407. Look how small he is. The entire time, though, Yoichi had a stockpiling quirk. But that kind of makes the gears turn a bit. Like, both of Deku's parents had quirks. Could it be that by chance that Deku did have a quirk all this time and it just never manifested because it was so weak? Like, is that also the reason why he's such a good carrier of One For All? Because I mean, if you think about it, All Might didn't receive any of the benefits that Deku had, and he was also quirkless. But let's keep reading. We finally get to see how All For One lost his eyes, ears, and eyes. We finally get to see how he lost his ears, nose, and eyes to All Might. Because All Might literally punched his face off. And I didn't expect it to be that simple. I didn't even think that, the author was going to draw it out, because that shit's brutal. I mean, look at the panel. Like, look at this. This shit is... Yeah. Okay, continuing on. We get these small panels, these slight flashback panels of All For One laying in the morgue being experimented on by Dr. Kyodai Garaki, which is the evil scientist that we see in the anime, the show, and the manga that is side by side with Shigaraki. Back to present day, we see a young All For One cursing Kudo, the second bear of All For One, because he sees his wheel and Bokugo's fighting spirit. Bokugo is fighting and evolving at such a rapid pace that it feels as though All Might is fighting against Kudo himself, and he even goes to say that he's fighting against Kudo's will. The plan was to get Shigaraki with enough energy to do the transfer of power to finally give him the Quirk Stealer so that he can complete the transformation of Shigaraki and take his will and create the next him. But All For One says fuck that shit. He decides he's going to kill this little shit Bokugo and transfer Shigaraki's quirk all in one go. And in the next panel, All For One gives us this badass fucking panel, and this shit is beautiful. Look at it. He releases all of his quirks at the same time, and you see the molded bodies of all the people grafted onto All For One popping out of his back. In Chapter 409, the hype train fucking continues. This quick adorable panel with Bokugo being born to his mother. Back to the fight though. All For One is charging this big ass move, and he is aiming it right at Bokugo. Then it starts trucking. That shit is moving. This big ass ball of quirks is moving full speed, and if Bokugo doesn't dodge it, it's over and he will die. But when have you not known Bokugo to stand on business? You see, he concocted a plan in which he'd coat his beads in his sweat and shoot them in the gap between All For One and himself without triggering the beads to explode. But these beads are still explosives. Just because he didn't detonate them doesn't necessarily mean something else can't. And that something else is heading full speed into that sweaty minefield as an attempt to kill Bokugo. And we get this. Howitzer impact. And everything that dropped out of that little shit sweat glands blew All For One to high fucking heaven. And let me tell you something. Bokugo kept blowing his shit up too. Like, it wasn't not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4. four good beams, and All for One is getting cooked. And Chapter 409 ends with a beam of explosives popping out in his final panel. And BOKUGOU is just watching All for One's demise. On to the next chapter. At least whenever the fuck it comes out. Hey guys, don't forget to check out my collectible store. Recently got this last set of JJK Funko Pops. Got Mahito, Megami, Gojo, Yuji, and lastly Nobita, RIP. All of these come in protection cases and they are all sold together. Not sold separately, this is a collection set, a 5-piece collection set for Jujutsu Kaisen. Thanks for watching. Looking forward to seeing you guys again. Appreciate it.